Hi, I'm Lissie.
And I'm Simmons.
We're here to talk to you about stuff.
Especially history. We're doing a podcast about history. Hi! We're the Ink Drinkers. Contrary to our name, we don't actually drink ink.
We just drink tea and talk about history.
So join us as we learn about history.
Indeed.
Hello. We are the Ink Drinker Historians. I'm Lissie.
No, I'm not.
I'm Simmons.
I am Lissie.
We are the Ink Drinker Historians, here today to talk about Robert Hanssen.
All right, we're continuing our series of the KGB and Russia.
Indeed.
So,
Let's get right into it, folks.
yes, indeed. So,
we go.
Robert Hanssen. He was actually an American. He was born in,
April 18th.
no, like the place.
Oh, the place.
Do we know?
Chicago.
Oh, Chicago. So Robert Hanssen was born in Chicago in the year 1944. And in 1976, he joined the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Yes, he joined the Federal FBI in 1976. And he began working for the Russians and the KGB in 1985.
Mm-hmm.
He was known to the KGB as Raymond Garcia. I have no idea why. And he was a high-ranking officer and a trusted officer within the FBI. So he had access to lots of classified information, and this made him very valuable to the KGB and its successor, the SVR.
So he kept going,
Mm-hmm.
even
When
after.
the KGB ended.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
According to FBI.gov, which is where I was reading a very interesting article about him, they had a lot of good things to say, but I'm reading a quote here from that article. The information he delivered compromised numerous human sources, counterintelligence techniques, investigations, dozens of classified U.S. government documents, and technical operations of extraordinary importance and value. So
this guy went deep.
he did.
Very deep.
He was, yeah. Espionage. His actions aroused suspicion in the 90s. However, because he was acting suspiciously, however, he continued in his espionage undetected.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
Even though he arose suspicion, he was still able to
Continue on what he was doing.
to get them off his back, which it reminds me of a book series my family is listening to. It's on the last 7 years of the world, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very much a fact of fiction. But one of the Tribulation Force members, as they call themselves, he's working as a double agent.
Okay.
Or not a double agent. He's basically an agent infiltrating the other ranks of the global community. And he got a lot of suspicion because he's a super techie guy, and the global community is trying to find the tribe first because they don't like them. But this member that was in the global community was able to tip them off, and that gave the global community suspicion. Like, hold on, we've got a mole in the palace. We got to get this mole under control. And so this member, David Hasid, he kept going under suspicion, and they kept interrogating him. Mm-hmm. And eventually his counter, or the person that replaced him after he left, went through the same thing many times. But neither of them were caught, and they were able to keep working. So that's what this reminds me of.
Yeah.
Bunny trails.
Yeah. In the 1990s, after Aldrich Ames' arrest, we'll talk about Aldrich Ames maybe this episode, maybe next episode, depending on how long. After Aldrich Ames' arrest, the CIA and the FBI discovered someone was still giving intelligence, Hanssen, was still giving intelligence to the Russians. For 2 years, they investigated another innocent CIA officer.
That poor officer.
He was
He probably went home from work for so long. Like, he probably knew this just a little bit. And this poor guy probably had panic attacks in his pillow.
Oh, poor guy. After finding Russian sources in 2000, after, finding incriminating evidence from Russian sources in 2000, the FBI put together a plan to catch Hanssen in the act of treason. They had to hurry, though, as Hanssen only had 1 year left in the service before he retired.
So, this is just a random thought.
Mhm.
But if he retired, couldn't they still have arrested him and stuff?
I don't know.
That would have made sense because, I mean, he's still committing treason against the United States. He's still violated his oath.
Well, maybe they didn't have rock-solid proof. That's what I think of.
Yeah.
Special Agent Don Sullivan, is that not the most FBI agent
That
name
is
ever?
the most FBI agent name ever.
Special Agent Don Sullivan was tasked with gathering information on Hanssen, basically spying on him. The FBI kept both eyes on Hanssen for over a year, surveilling him in his office, at home, and overseeing all his interactions.
Not at all creepy to have someone spy at you at home, but I guess if you're committing treason.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hanssen was caught doing a dead drop in July of 2001, and I was looking up what a dead drop is. Apparently, it's basically what you think of when you think of spies. Like, they put the important things behind a rock in the park, or I don't know, in an empty mailbox or something, and then somebody else comes and gets it later after they've gone.
Yeah, so basically, I put this on the computer, just super inconspicuous, pretend Simmons isn't there, and I go away, and eventually she comes and she picks it up and takes it.
That was in July of 2001. He was caught doing that and arrested. So were you going to say something?
No.
No, okay.
Oh, yeah.
He was caught and arrested, and he pled guilty to 15 counts of espionage.
15 counts.
15. He was sentenced to life without parole, and he just died last year in 2023 at the age of 79. And I was reading this article on FBI.gov, and I thought this ending that they had on it was, wow. It says, Hanssen took an oath to, quote, support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to bear true faith and allegiance to the same, unquote. But he decided to violate that oath. The FBI trusted him with some of the most sensitive secrets of the U.S. government, and instead of upholding that trust, he abused and betrayed it.
Which, you take an oath like that. And I think for the FBI and stuff, you swear it over the Bible, right? So when he took that oath, he not only broke it to the United States, but he took the Lord's name in vain at the same time, which is a breaking of the commandments. And he probably did that a lot more. But this is that's a little more in depth.
Close to home, yeah.
Yeah. Many people these days just flippantly take the Lord's name in vain. But when you take an oath over the Bible and swear it, then that is pretty close to just cracking a lot more than a commandment. That's big, but
what would bring somebody to betray his country and to betray that oath, and let alone lend his services to a country, an organization that basically opposes everything you've been taught?
I know, desperate. Some people get desperate. Some people just, I don't know, I'm bored.
Yeah.
Guess I'll switch up my daily routine and go commit espionage.
Yeah, I would love to know what his thinking was behind all that.
Unfortunately, he is
Dead
no
now.
longer alive. So we can't just go to the prison and ask for...
Not that I would. Anyway.
Yeah. But an interesting fact I found is that his death was actually here in Colorado. He died in Florence, Colorado, which I have no idea where that is, ladies and gentlemen.
Maybe that's on purpose.
Maybe. I think my sister-in-law's parents or grandparents lived down there. But I find it interesting that he was born in Chicago. He moves to Washington and betrays his country there while an FBI agent. And FBI is in America. Now, the CIA, or counterintelligence agency, is they're all outside of the U.S. intelligence. So think gathering information, talking with allies, that sort of thing. But then you've got the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation. And that is inside America. That's America's investigations. That's America's crime lists, politics, sensitive information about people, agents, politicians, innocents. That's all of that. And this man was willing to just give it all away for who knows what.
For evil foreign government.
Mm-hmm. And then he goes from that to Colorado, which is interesting. He goes from his life down in Chicago to a very busy life as an FBI agent to a double agent sort of person to a convict.
Yeah. All in a life's work, hey?
It's the circle of life. While we're at it, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and talk about a CIA agent who decided to do the same thing Hanssen did. Betray his country. So...
That looks amazing.
So Aldrich Ames was born on May 26th in 1941 in the city of River Falls, Wisconsin. Now, if you don't follow the Ink Drinker Instagram, that's fine. Just gonna put it in there. You should go follow it. I post daily posts, and Aldrich Ames' birthday will be in there, so you can see an actual picture of this guy. Anyway, Mr. Ames was the eldest child of Carlton Cecile Ames and Rachel Ames. He had two younger sisters, which are not named. His father, Carlton, served in the CIA, counterintelligence agency, from 1952 to his retirement in 1967. So we'll take a look at this. His father is very patriotic. He works for the CIA. They even went to Southeast Asia for 3 years, 1953 to 1956, while Agent Ames was, what's the word? Bordered, quarantined.
Quartered?
Quartered! No.
Oh.
Excuse us while we
Stationed.
try. Yes, stationed! Well, Agent Ames was stationed in that area. So Aldrich Ames kind of had a little bit of Asian background there, where he, hung out in Asia for a while.
Yeah.
When they returned, Aldrich graduated from the McLean High School in McLean, Virginia. The year of his graduation is not given. You could probably find it somewhere, but it's not given anywhere that I have found. This lad, at the time he was a lad, did not complete his studies at the University of Chicago when he went because he was a huge theater lover. He loved acting in theater. He loved watching theater. And that love for theater was coinciding with his grades, which were starting to fall drastically during his sophomore year. So he dropped out in about 1959. He started working for the CIA during his high school years as a records analyst, which is very interesting. It was a very low-level job. And he started following in his father's footsteps. He took on a clerical position in Washington for the CIA after he dropped out of the University of Chicago. And eventually, he did graduate from the George Washington University with a bachelor's degree in history in the year 1967, the same year his father retired. Yeah, so after he achieved the grade of GS7, which is a higher level, he had good performance appraisals. He was inducted into the career trainee program of the CIA and continued his work. And from 1969 to 1972, he was posted in Ankara, Turkey, where his task was targeting officers of Soviet intelligence who could be appointed as U.S. spies.
Whoa. Okay, this is blowing my mind. I'm just learning this
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Things get worse, ladies and gentlemen. He permeated the communist Devgenk organization through some student activists. Despite this endeavor, his performance rating was marked only as satisfactory. And Aldrich, quite frankly, thought of quitting his job at the CIA. When he returned to the CIA headquarters in 1972, he was inducted into the Soviet East European, or SE, division, where he worked for the next 4 years. He was posted in New York in 1976, and he handled 2 significant agents of the Soviet Union, along with outstanding execution of work, which fetched him a number of promotions and bonuses. Now, for those who work and have jobs, this is what you're going for. You're going for stuff like this. However, due to his negligence, that resulted in 2 significant security infringements, he faced verbal backlash. After a mediocre performance in Mexico in 1981, he returned to Washington in September 1983, 2 years later, where the CIA delegated him into the Department of Operations of the SE Division, or Soviet
East.
European Division.
East
East or European?
East European.
East European. One of the two.
It's both.
It's both. Okay. This division undertook Soviet counterintelligence activities. He had access to all the CIA strategies and activities that were planned to counter Soviet Security Agency, KGB.
Sound familiar?
And their primary military foreign intelligence service, GRU. GRU. No, that's the fictional character, Simmons. She's thinking the actual GRU, not the GRU. There's a difference. One is slightly more evil than the other. I will leave you to decide which one. As he rendered service to the CIA offices that determined prospect U.S. spies inside the Soviet embassy, it was a known fact, that his task would be to approach prospects in the embassy. Thus, under the nose of the CIA and the FBI, who would not suspect him, he sold information to the Soviet Union in April 1985 and earned $50,000. Now, the person who recruited him to this was named Viktor Cherkashin. I'm pretty sure you know the name. We mentioned it in a couple episodes ago. And the biography is Spy Handler, where you can find the whole story. But Aldrich Ames sold this information to KGB agent Viktor Cherkashin, who, by the way, was preparing to go home to go see his kids with his wife. Aldrich Ames was getting in his way.
Just want to pop in real quick. He made $50,000 after off of that. Now today that would be $145,700, which, this side note, wouldn't even buy you a house in Colorado.
That is very true. It might in Kansas.
Maybe.
I don't look in Kansas, though. In no time, Aldrich Ames pinpointed over 10 sources of FBI and CIA who were spying on the activities of the Soviet Union. This resulted in a sudden waning of CIA agents in the Soviets. While the CIA sensed something wrong, they were skeptical in considering a hand of a double agent. So while Ames was working for the KGB, he was also
helping the KGB in taking down CIA agents with them. Did I understand that correctly?
I don't even remember what I said. But to rephrase this, he helped the KGB he helped the CIA and
Okay.
FBI. He did both. The CIA suspected a former agent by the name of Edward Lee Hauer, but this caused the CIA to lose 3 more agents, about whom Howard had no knowledge. It became instantly clear that someone else was behind this someone else being Aldrich Ames. At this point, Mr. Ames had received about $4.6 million from the Soviets and started living a lavish life, long beyond the normal means of a CIA officer. In an attempt to cover up his present position, he had a made-up story going that he received a fortune from the wealthy Colombian family of his newly wedded wife, Maria del Rosero. He would also send money to the new in-laws for improving their status to make his story look real.
Wow.
Such a lie.
Poor Maria.
Poor Maria. After being stationed in Rome in 1986, he was taken back to this counterintelligence center analysis group of the CIA during 1990 to 1991, when he had access to crucial information, including that on American double agents.
Wow.
When the CIA started probing on his finances, they were deflected by a CIA officer from abroad with a fake story that infiltration of the Soviets in the CIA was a result of a USSR-born employee. USSR is basically the long acronym of United...
The Soviet Union.
Yeah, the Soviet Union, which at that time was still up and going. Although Ames did pass 2 polygraph tests conducted in 1986 and 1991 respectively, the CIA became more vigilant when his extravagant lifestyle and sudden acquisition of movable and immovable properties became more visible, which did not match with his CIA income. The CIA and the FBI started a thorough investigation on him in March of 1993. And after November of 1993, he was kept under constant surveillance, including the tracking of his vehicle, which, I guess is kind of important at that point.
Yeah.
On February 21st, 1994, he was arrested along with his wife.
Oh, maybe not so poor Maria.
Not so poor Maria.
Okay.
The next day, the United States Department of Justice charged them both for the espionage with the Soviet Union and Russia against the United States. Aldrich Ames did admit his acts in the court. While he was given a life sentence, his wife got a 5-year imprisonment.
Slightly poor Maria.
Slightly poor Maria. He is now numbered as prisoner 40087-083 of the Federal Bureau of Prisons. And he is facing his confinement in the Allenwood U.S. Penitentiary under high security arrangements. He is still alive, ladies and gentlemen, at 82.
It was interesting. When we were talking about Hanssen, I was mentioning what would bring a person to betray his country like that. And to me, for Ames, at least, it just sounds like he wasn't being very successful in the CIA as an agent. So he decided that he could be more successful in, selling information to the Russians.
Yeah, that does make sense. For Hanssen, it's still up in the air. For Ames, it's pretty clear.
Yeah, it sounds like, he was...
He didn't get the promotions he wanted, and they were mad at him.
For him, it seems like it's all about the money. That is the lives of Robert Hanssen and
Aldrich Ames.
Aldrich Ames, 2 people born in America who decided to betray their country and their trust to a foreign government.
Yep, and that also wraps up our investigation.
Our investigation.
Our investigation.
Our series of...
KGB and some of their most famous agents, 2 of which are still alive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. I'm Simmons. Wait, you usually say it first.
Thank you for listening. I am Lissie.
And I am Simmons.
We are the Ink Drinker Historians.
Join us next time for a series that we do not yet know what it will be.
Yep. If you have any thoughts on that, please share them in the comments.